There we go. So yeah, well, thank you very much for donating some of your time for us this evening. It's very much appreciated.
Oh no, it's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to chatting to you. It's nice to
Good.
catch up.
It's going to be like a really intense interrogation.
Oh, good. That's what I was hoping for.
So
Like
just when
deep
you're
and
like,
dark thoughts.
just when you think you could like settle down and chill out at nighttime, gonna like intensely grill you
No,
now.
no. Oh God. So I was meant to be tutoring today, and they've like rescheduled, so I've like swapped over. So all day I've been like, I've got something to do today. I've got something to do today. I'm like, no, tutoring's cancelled. It's fine. And then and then you messaged me. I was like, yeah, that was it. Like I knew there was something.
Well, do you know, like, so tomorrow is the last day of the term for me, and I've got like a performance with some kids tomorrow.
Mm,
So we've been doing rehearsals all day today, and it's been one of those weeks where everything's just been like really manic and tough this week. And I
mm.
got home, and the wife had said to us, she was like, "Have you got anything on tonight?" And I was like, slouched down on the couch, and I was like, "I don't think I do." And then I was like, "I'm just gonna check. I've not scheduled interviews." And I was like, "Yeah, I have. I have." I was
Oh
like,
no.
"So sorry."
So no, that's fine. Don't worry about it. At least we're in the same boat. It's fine.
It's certainly not a reflection on you. It's a reflection
No,
on my shit
exactly.
organizational skills.
No, literally me too. Like at least we're the same. I feel like to be fair, you have to be that way with uni anyway. Like we've both been living like that for so long that everything is just like, right, what have I got to do tomorrow? And then you just like quickly get it done. Like that's just kind of life, isn't it? A little bit.
Oh
So
man, I tell you, like, how are you enjoying like not having assignments to do?
it's good. Like it took me a bit of getting used to, like that just think that little voice in your head that's constantly saying that you've got like something due, something at some time, like, and you can like you should be reading ahead. Like, did I ever read ahead? Like, I'd love to be that person that said that I did. I did not.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm the same, man. Like, I was actually speaking to a student, was it today or yesterday? And I says, I think that there's something legitimately wrong with my brain because I never, do you know, like when people get super stressed with like exams or stressed with deadlines,
Hmm.
it's just that bit of my brain's never been plugged in. And
I
like
don't know.
other people freak out for me and they're like, do you not have something to do today? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And like, should you not be doing it? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'll do it in a bit.
It's
I'm too,
funny, isn't it? Like, I will always like, it's that thing. I'm sure you've spoken about it before, but it's that like there's no motivator like a deadline. I'm definitely that person that kind of leaves it to last minute. But like now I can't leave it till last minute. I have to plan ahead because you can't like, what if I get ill or something happens like to James and James has got ill and then needs me all night and could like won't leave my side, so I can't stay up and do an assignment, like things like that. Like I'll try and consider now. So
yeah.
then it's like that last assignment, getting that done. Oh.
How did that go for you? Like, what was it? We can talk about it now. So, like, what did you do for your last assignment?
Yeah. Oh God, it's funny to think about now. Like you've kind of like I've erased it from my brain a little bit. But I basically did three original songs and three covers, all under the umbrella topic of rivers. So yeah, it was fun. Like writing the three songs. I wrote the first song, like bang, there you go. There's the first song. Like this is gonna be fun. Um and then right in the second song, I would like wrote a song, no, wrote a song, no, wrote a song. Like I was just trying like so many songs and like nothing, I wasn't happy with anything. So I was just still writing and writing and writing. And at this point I was like recording the covers in between. So I was like doing other stuff. And I eventually just stumbled upon a song and I was like, right, that's definitely going to be the second song. And then the third song came. Well, the third song was actually really funny. Can we talk about it, like what we actually did?
Yeah,
Okay. So,
they can't take our degree away from us now. Like, it's done. We're done.
I hope not. I hope not.
I'll wait
So
until a
basically
few days to put it out, but that way we've got them in our hands, and then we can be like,
they will
fuck
have to
you.
rip it from my hands, I swear. God. But no, this third song that ended up coming about, it was basically I was bored of writing like these whimsical, like, oh, I was walking by a river and like I saw, like, do you know what I mean? Like those type of songs. Like the first song was like that, the second song was a little bit like that. But the third song was like, I'm bored of that theme. Like I want, like, what else could you write a song about a river? Like I have no idea. So I was like, well, bodies go in rivers. And I was like, maybe I'll just write a song about that. So I did. So it's basically, I like create this whole concept. There's a song that I like, that's by Taylor Swift. And it's basic and like featuring Haim. And it's basically about um how she meets up with her like best friend, and her best friend says that her husband's cheating on her, and eventually her best friend goes missing and she figures out that it's him and the mistress have like plotted it and whatever. And I was kind of inspired and I was like, you know what, it could be something like that, like some kind of, big thing. But it's basically that such a complicated concept that the husband's cheating on the wife finds out um that he is plotting to kill her and run away with his mistress, so she kills him first and dumps his body in the river.
Just a nice light, just a light song, isn't it?
I actually had
Yeah.
to ask my mum for advice, like, can I send this as part of
Oh,
my
absolutely.
degree? Like,
It's good. I think like was it not in our group song that we did that you was it we had like a nice whimsical lyrics going for one of those songs, and I'm sure you ended it by somebody taking the car off into a river and drowning or something, was it not? Pretty sure that was you.
it was a bad time to take a sip of water. That actually was me.
Yeah.
And that makes me sound like such a psychopath. I don't know what it is. Like maybe maybe I'm just quite inspired by writing
By
stories that are
death by
completely
water.
fiction and putting that out there. They're completely fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
The
Keep it
other
light,
two
mate.
songs
Keep it
were
light.
completely normal. They were completely normal. No one died. There was no trauma.
Well, now I'm bored of those songs. So I was gonna ask, so because I, I'm not someone that writes a lot of stuff by myself. I'm writing stuff with other people. I'm usually like the guitar
Mm,
person in the band. And for my final project, I was doing well, the whole website and the podcast and stuff were all
yeah.
part of my final project.
Mhm.
But the I wrote my own solo song. It's the first time I've ever done lyrics. Um, and it was the first time, like with you in that group, it was the first time I'd ever
Oh,
like
I
done
love
lyrics.
that. That's
But
so good.
it was horrendous, man, because I've said a few times that I went out, like, when we were writing stuff down and going around the circle and handing the stuff
Yeah,
around, everyone
yeah.
else's lyrics were like proper poetic and that. And when I got to
Well, I
mine, I was
had
like,
to
I
come up.
cannot.
I had to come after Savvy, and it was just, oh my god, her lyrics were gorgeous, and I was like, oh, never mind. Just wanted the ground to swallow me up. It was brutal. He literally, so we went into that room, didn't we? And he literally sat down at the piano and just started playing these chords, and that's just how he started. Like, and we all just kind of like came up with our own ideas, blended them together, and magically had what we had, and it was so fun. Like, I loved that time that we had in that group.
Yeah, I think we really like looked out, with our mentor was amazing, and we
Mhm,
had a really good
mhm.
like group of people and a really different group of people as well because we'd all came from very sort of different backgrounds, and it was
Yeah.
nice because Um, like I've spoken to Sabi, and that I think it was the first time she'd ever been in like that sort of jamming situation. And
Mm.
like for me, that's quite a normal occurrence, and I felt really comfortable there. And then when I was asked to do lyrics, I was like, "Oh shit, the bed! I've got to really step out the my comfort zone here."
They have to. So like I remember looking at like the timetable before we went and seeing that there was choir on there. I was like excited because, I'm a singer, but I've never been in a choir really. But I was just thinking there are so many people that won't be singers, that have to get that far out of their comfort zone. So I think there's no one there that wasn't pushed to their extremes that week, like with like
Yeah,
performing in front of others. It was like full on, wasn't it?
Oh, it was so intense, man. Like I think at the time when you're in it, you don't really realize. And then when I got home, like it's so boring. Like not, I don't mean that in a really negative way, because like I'm very happy with my life and stuff. But you know, like after that week, because every day was like super, like you didn't know what was going to be next, and then you were
Yeah.
doing like, you know, a little bit of like jazz stuff with Bruno, and then you were into doing like choir with Adam, and then into your groups with Aga, and like it was so intense, and like every day I came away buzzing, like you know that I felt like I'd learned something, and
Yeah.
I was wanting to do something.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
you get home and
definitely.
it's just
But no,
like
what's
dull.
oh, I know, it literally is. It's like it's hard to not feel like that, isn't it? Because it was just constant, like, yeah, like stimulation with other people. Like you could do, like, it was so much fun, like so much fun. But what Sabby was saying about like never being in a jam situation, I was literally the same. Like there was so many people there that like I'd never been in that kind of like environment with so many different musicians and everything. It was yeah, definitely new for me.
So are you primarily because I know did you do like you did like a residency, didn't you, in was it Tenerife?
Mm.
And was that
So
just you by yourself?
no, like my family moved out there when I think I was 20. I'd lived there for a couple of years before with like an ex-boyfriend. So I
Mhm.
was fluent in Spanish because I lived with his family who was Spanish. And then my family sold the house and were like, yeah, we're going to Tenerife. And I was like, I'll just come back from there. Do you really have to go? And they were like, yeah, you don't really have a choice. I was like, okay. So, so it sounds bad, but no, it was fine. So I moved over to Tenerife reluctantly, and ended up thinking like, what am I going to do? There was a bar that I'd been drinking in, well, like just normal refreshments since we were young. Like my parents would drink there,
Mhm.
and they said, "Oh, you're a musician, aren't you? Like you've done a few performances. Why don't you get a guitar from someone and like do a bit of a set here?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." Like, and my parents were like, "Yeah, you should do it. You should do it." And I was like, "Yeah, go on then." So I did. And they were like, "Oh, we'll just chuck you €50." And I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." And then it got to me, I was like, maybe I should just do that. Like a lot of the scene over there is cabaret, like not really my kind of acoustic guitar kind of style. And I didn't know if it was going to work. And I thought people would be like, oh, but it kind of, that was my niche. That was my little, um, yeah, that's what I did. But it was fun. Like I was gigging so often, like sometimes twice a night. I'd like go from places on the island, like do like 2 hour sets, like weddings and all sorts. And then COVID hit. So
Yeah.
that was out the window.
Yeah. So have you sort of primarily been doing stuff on your own as a musician? Like just you and your
Mm,
acoustic guitar?
literally, yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
So before Laban, had you done stuff in bands and or anything before?
Not really. No,
No?
like no. The only thing that I can think of is like in Tenerife, I'd have like this friend who was a saxophonist who would like come and jam with me, and I recorded a CD with him and things like that. So like um he was like the only person that I kind of jam with. And maybe like I'd been to like I auditioned for a few things and like sang with a little band, and like at school I sang with a band, but like that's probably as far as it goes.
It's the only reason I maybe sound surprised is just obviously we were in the band together,
Mm,
and I felt like when we were up on stage, like there was like I felt you were very confident on stage, and like you felt
mm,
very like comfortable, and like you
mm,
knew the so what's the best way to say this? Like the in terms of like eye contact with different people in the band and just like the unspoken cues,
mm.
like that was there, and I felt very comfortable stood on stage next to you because I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, like you know the thing, you know the
yeah,
unspeakable rules, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I'd assumed that you'd had some of that background, but that's cool,
No,
man.
no, I just kind of like I like if you're musicians together on stage, you're vibing, aren't you? In a sense, you
Mhm.
you're verbing. But like you kind of like you're in the same zone, you're playing the same songs, you're looking at each other for like, I don't know, for prompts, you know, we're going to carry on here, we're going to like extend it, we're going to go you can look, you can tell a lot from looking at someone on stage.
That's it.
So
But it's a weird thing because I think people that aren't used to doing it maybe don't get that. Um,
mm, mm,
Particularly, like I'm noticing. So this week, I've done so much with sort of from year nines to year 13s, like mixed groups, bands, and things. And
mm.
that's the first thing that I notice. Everyone rehearses really well, and then when we get into a band, it's like you just need to look at each other and don't look
Yeah,
at me for the cue. Like, I'm not going to be there. Like, don't rely on me.
yeah,
Look at
yeah.
them.
Oh no, I saw something today actually that kind of like might explain it a little bit, I suppose. It was like this thing that was like trying to explain stage presence and how to have it, I suppose. And I was like, right, I'll listen to what she's saying. She basically said that if you're comfortable with what you're doing, like you can then kind of like not stress about the performance, because the performance is going to go how it's going to go. Like you already know it or you don't at that point. So you can just like come out and enjoy it and like connect with the audience and the people around you. And that's kind of what gives that stage presence, is like if you can be comfortable with your instrument or your like with what you're doing and not stress about it, you can kind of like, but I suppose at that age they're probably just like still so worried about
But I think
getting it
that's a really
right, getting
difficult
it
thing.
right.
Is that what's the word? It's hard to phrase this sometimes, but it's something that I've struggled with like my whole life. So I've been in bands since I've been about what maybe 13, 14 year old.
That's
Um,
young.
yeah, and it's the only thing I ever felt like I was any good at when I was younger. So that's like where my identity was just I'm the someone that's in a band.
Mm.
Um, but I've never, like up until very recently, I've never been someone and I'm still not like I'm not a confident person on stage. I'm not a confident person just like in general. I'm usually really like socially awkward, and when I speak to people, like I always feel like it's a like a like a mask. Like I'm pretending to be, and it takes me a lot of energy. And it's not because like I often feel really guilty saying it to folk and saying like it takes me a lot of energy to speak to someone or a lot of energy to go out to social things. And like, because I think people might see me if I'm doing something on stage and I'll make a tit of myself, or I'll be like, like flamboyant on stage or whatever and do stupid things. And
Mm.
people think like, oh, like he'll be like that all the time. I say, I'm not, man. Like, I'm so
No.
quiet and
Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah,
And I
I
have to
completely feel
pretend to
you.
be someone else.
Mm. Yeah, that might explain why I have two names. There was a woman in Tenerife that I really looked up to who like she was amazing on stage. And I asked her, I said to her, I was like, how are you like so good? And she said, well, I've got an alter ego and she never gets it wrong. And I was
That's
like,
cool.
oh, okay. So I've kind of, and then I like knew, so there was a girl there with a similar name. So I knew I had to change my name. And I was like, what if I'm just confident when I'm on stage? And it kind of
Yeah.
worked. So yeah, I feel you.
Well, honestly, it's meant to hear you say that because I think nearly everyone I've spoke to about that has just looked at me like I'm an absolute weirdo. I'm
Really?
like, yeah, like to me, I find it's much easier to disconnect me because if I stop when I'm doing something on stage and think like I'm here doing this, like I'm not confident and like I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like that. So that's really cool to hear you say that. Like you're the same and you have a like an alter ego or a persona that like that's my stage me, and then this is
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, in a sense. Like it's not like she's like, do you know what I mean? She's not like far removed from me, this like completely different person. I'm just like, I don't think about my insecurities. I'm just not. I'm just the singer person, you know?
Yeah,
I'm the singer me. I'm not that me. It sounds really
yeah.
weird.
No, but like honestly, like it's nice to hear someone else say that, because it felt like I was, it's like, oh, I've created this weird thing in my head to help me help me overcome my
Exactly.
own insecurities. But it's
But then
nice
get
to hear other
past
people
it.
saying that.
Then you get past it, don't you? If that's what it takes for you to get past it, then
Absolutely,
it's
man.
worth doing.
So on a deeper level of that, then, what about, when you're writing your own stuff?
Mm.
So for me, so like my first song that I put out was it was lyrics that were like very deeply personal to us about my brother, and I could not bear to write stuff down. Like I was cringing at every line, and then I was singing stuff, and there was days I'd sat in like tears writing stuff, and I was like, "This is fucking brutal, man. Like I can't, I don't know if I can like do this."
Awful.
And but then it never even dawned on me that other people would like listen to the stuff, because I was just doing it, like sat in my little music room and just doing it. And then when I did put it out, and I knew I had to because it was for my final one of my bits of my final project, I was like, "Fucking hell! Like this is
Uh,
so awful." Um, but you have much more experience at writing your own stuff. It's like, how do you deal with that? Are you writing from a personal level, or do you find you're detaching again from doing that?
no, like I always write on a personal level. This one about the body though was completely not personal, but
Yeah, yeah.
most of the time, they're like, yeah, they're quite personal. Um, it's weird. I suppose like I find it strange that you've been able to like overcome that so easy. Well, I suppose you were kind of forced into it. But like even now, I won't release stuff for the fear of what other people think of it. Like
Mhm.
that's like a major thing for me. But writing it in itself, I'll write like 5 songs a day still. Like I just write and write and write and pour them out. And I think that kind of like um I'm kind of used to doing that now because I've done that for so long. It's taken me a long time to get to writing that often and making it such a like kind of routine to just kind of pick up my guitar and start writing at any kind of point.
Mhm.
That yeah, like there is hard stuff that you have to like kind of get out, but like yeah, I don't know. I suppose I'll write about the same thing a lot as well, just in different ways and like try it different ways.
Yeah.
And then
So,
you kind of like get a story and yeah, I don't know.
so do you when you're saying you're worried sometimes about putting out what people would think, is that because you're worried? So I have two main trains of worry. Where one is, if I put something out, I don't like musically. I think, am I happy musically to put something out? Like, but another musician going to listen to that and go like, ah, that's shit. Or so that's my one train of worry. And then the
Mm.
second is on the personal side, is when I put lyrics to something, is someone like, is that actually what that person thinks? Is that actually going on in their head? And you're like, that's just awful.
Okay, yes to both. Like yes to both completely. Yeah, especially that last one because like okay, so you know how they're on a personal level. There are just things that I speak about that I just don't want people to be like, oh, she's that girl, or like, oh, like she did that, or like things like that. It's just make like they're that personal that maybe I shouldn't release them, but at the same time, that's the whole. Oh, my
Yeah.
connection's unstable.
So I'm unstable too. It's all good.
I was just thinking, so am I.
But yeah, I think that's really hard, man. That it's I don't know if you do the same sort of stuff, but do you know like like I'm new at doing the lyrical side of stuff, but there was some lines when I was trying to sort of piece lyrics together that I was really happy with, and then I'd listen to them back and I thought, do you reckon someone might misinterpret those and just think I'm an absolute maniac? Or like, 'cause I don't mean it like that. Like I know what I want, I know what I'm trying to say,
Mhm.
but
That
then
is
sometimes it
that is
hits
the
you really
hardest
hard.
part. Yeah, that is the hardest part is to try like you're basically trying to tell a whole story or like get someone's capture someone's emotions within 3 minutes, and that
Yeah,
like to like take someone on that journey with such little space with words
yeah.
is hard. Like it's like a craft, and how do you get your point across? How do you say what you're trying to say? That's the hardest part, definitely.
Yeah, and I think trying to balance it with, because there was some things in that I wanted to keep in musically that I was really pleased with, and I thought it fit the song that I was doing. I was like, that works really well. But then I was like, well, I don't think people listening to it will get it. Like to me, it makes sense, and I'm really pleased with it. But to the wider sort of public, when it goes out, they might hear it and think like, "What's that? Like, why is that in there?"
Right, it depends though, doesn't it? Because like if you look at Pink Floyd lyrics, a lot of the time you think, or like at least the first time you listen to it, you're like, and that's like sometimes that kind of enigma is interesting, but then yeah, sometimes it can go too far. And if it doesn't make any sense, then it's a bit whatever. But I'm
Yeah,
sure that most of the time, if you've got like a general theme and you can see it going through, that's a lot of the time enough. It depends on the music though.
absolutely, man. I think that's the art as well, is trying to balance the lyrics with. See, if it's someone else's lyrics, I can sit and play all day with the music, and like I'd love just sitting. There was a bloke that I was working with for a while, and he'd basically had all these lyrics written, but no melody, no chords, just literally like poems. And it's like
Mm,
we just sat and worked them out and crafted them together, and it was so much fun because I was interpreting the poems in one way, and he was like, oh, "Actually, I meant it more like this," and like twisting the harmony and stuff. It was so much fun.
that's so cool.
Um,
I've got a friend who's doing that at the minute with his girlfriend. She
mhm,
writes the lyrics and sings, but doesn't play any instruments and doesn't whatever. And he like comes and makes them all music. It's like
mhm.
it's amazing.
But that's nice, and it takes the sort of the personal, what's the word, like the accountability away, if you know what I mean. I love
Mm,
working with other musicians because then there's a shared accountability for it. And
yeah.
if someone doesn't get it, it's like, well, it's not just me, they all agreed to it
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Or like you can tell, like bounce it off each other, like whether you're doing something good or not. Like when I'm doing something by myself, it's only me who decides whether that's good or not.
Yeah.
I could be onto a winner and then be like, oh no. And then writing some really crap song and like everyone else is thinking, oh my God, that's amazing. So
But
you never know.
I suppose if you're writing and you're developing a lot of stuff by yourself, then when you're going out doing that live, it's kind of more like a stand-up comedian because they can't, they can't practice and test their material by themselves. They need an
Mm,
audience to judge whether that works or not. And if you're by yourself, that's like the same. You're going out and seeing if it's accepted or not, and then like, oh, that does work or it doesn't. I need to take it back and twist it.
yeah, that's quite true. Yeah, there was a song that I wrote a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to play it at my next gig, and I did, and I was like, and the reactions were really good from it, like probably better than I've had from any song. But I was thinking, oh, it's just some like little song that I wrote. So that's that you never know how it's going to go down until you're in front of someone and ask for their opinion.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I was gonna ask you as well. So when you're talking about your songwriting, um, when I was speaking to Richard, because I'd asked him when he writes a song, says, does it come like, are you doing lyrics first? Do you do chords first? Do you do? Because when I'm writing, because I've never been used to doing the like top lines, melodies and stuff, I usually work the other way. And he was like, I'll just sit down and I just do it like all at once. And I was like, you do it all at once? And he's like, yeah, yeah. And I said, well, how does that work? Like, for you, like, what's your process like when you're actually writing?
So it's normally the chords first, but the chords make the vibe. Like the chords kind of like you can tell what the song's about by the chords that you find. So like if you find like some, do you know what I mean? It determines the feel of the song. So
Mhm.
and then I just kind of figure out what it feels like it's about to me and like if it's something that relates that I could possibly write about, and then I end up just kind of like humming along and making this melody. It's normally the melody next, and then I wouldn't say I fit words into it, because I don't think I do. I think like I kind of like make it up on the spot, but then go back and refine it, I guess.
Mhm. And has that
Yeah.
always been your process with like chords, melody, and then refining, or do you find that you've ever started with like it as a poem first, or
Yeah, I suppose like I've always written songs in different ways, and like I love to experiment to do it different ways, because then like different things come out. So there's a song that I wrote which is one of my favorites, and it's called Hurricane, and that was one that I wrote with just a piano, so it was like a synth thing, and it was like a dun dun dun, dun. And like it made the whole song. I just went from that one little thing that I found whilst I was messing around on a keyboard one day.
Mhm.
Um and it became my favorite thing. So like those type of things, like I love just like figuring it out. But I think, yeah, I suppose it can happen all sorts of ways, because there are times when it's been something that I wrote down or something someone said, or so it can work from the lyrics or the story and backwards. So I suppose it happens all kinds of different ways.
But that's good because like I say, I think I'm gonna like use a date and time, like sort of a biblical sense here. So pre-Laban, um, I found I was always writing stuff, whether it was with a band or whether I was doing something for someone else. I always found like my my process has always been the same, and then I'd get really pissed off with myself because I was like, well, that just sounds the same. That just sounds the
Mm,
same. And then you just get, I've got hard drives full of like songs that are just needing like a top line to finish them. So they're all done and recorded really nicely, and there's just no top line on them because I always got to that point of, well, I need a singer to come in and put something on that now, because I was
mm,
too like embarrassed to do it myself, or like, well, I'm not
yeah,
putting lyrics on it.
yeah.
And it's just, I don't know.
I
I think
I
it's
get to the
trying
point
something new in it.
with the production. Mine's is that with the production. Like I'll sit and mess with what I can do with it, but I'm aware that it doesn't sound like half as good as it should, or like I'm trying to figure out the levels that you need to master it at, and like all of these things that we learn on the course. I think it was like the open uni one before that, before Laban, wasn't it? I think that we learned how
Yeah,
to master supposedly. But
yeah, that wasn't great, man. Like,
you say supposedly like it's not helped.
yeah, man, it was like measuring the size of a room via like the latency of an audio signal, and you're like, just show me useful stuff. Like,
Yeah, or like look at the spectrum of the frequencies that have been produced and tell me if that forms a pretty picture and what pretty picture it forms. And it's like helpful, thanks.
I know, like, I would say out of all the modules, like Laban's been the most useful and most helpful one.
Mm,
The other ones, so I did two modules this year, because I had to try and finish my degree this year. So I did the Laban and I did the or used the central questions and
mm,
and it's like musicology stuff where
wow.
I'm not hot at that at all. Um, but yeah, like Laban was so helpful when you're talking about like the tech stuff. That that module was just, it sucked, man. Like I was
Yeah,
looking forward to that as well.
really. Like there's only so much you can do. It's yeah, there was like not meant I think maybe one or two that I found like actually thoroughly enjoyable or like interesting. The rest were like there may be interesting little parts of it, but the majority of the stuff is like you just have to get through it. You just have to learn it and get through.
Oh, again, I'm glad to hear someone else say it, because when when you go and meet like other students and there's people that are like proper vibing off the stuff that you've trolled through, and you think like, oh, really? Like,
Oh
and
god.
people were more interested, like that had already done the central questions module last year, because they knew I was doing it at the same time. They were like asking me about, have you covered this yet? Have you covered that yet? I was like, honestly, I don't know. Like, I
Oh.
do what I need to do to get past, and that's it.
That's me. That's me. Why
Well,
would you
honestly,
do that? Life's for living. You've got other things to do. Like if you can get through by like not by doing so much, then you do that and then spend your time elsewhere. You've got like playing the guitar or other things.
it's stuff that like you want to do and want to invest your time in, you know.
Mm.
And I don't know if you found the same, but like with study and like it's mental because we're both studying music, and then you have so little time to actually do music because you're studying music. You're like, I just want to get better. Like
Yeah.
that's what I want to spend my time doing,
Yeah.
not learning about fucking serialism and like minimalism and stuff. Like, no, man.
Oh, God, all these words that you just never use. And that's the thing, I think, with us going into Laban as well. Like, can you read music? Like, you can read a little bit, can't you? Like, you're like
I can
decent
read.
enough.
Yeah, I can read okay. Like, I'm not. I can't sight read. I'm not a good sight reader, but I can read a bit.
No, yeah. Like, there was one part of the course that was literally like, sing this song and then just gave you the notes. And I was like, I can't do that. And then going to Laban, I was like, I'm sure it's going to be an issue. Like, that I'll be the only one there who can't read. It's going to be a massive issue. And like, it wasn't an issue until one day where it just became a massive issue.
Oh no,
And
really?
yeah, was it? Oh God, you know that was he American? The American dude. He was like,
Was it the jazz guy?
yeah, I think so. And he like got used to like go away like with the sheet music and learn the song and then come back and perform it.
Oh no, I know that was like the improvising guy.
Yeah.
Well, I can
Oh,
I can better you with that because I don't know if you're in the same group as me for that or if we're in different groups.
I was with
But
Richard.
oh wait, like well, I came in late because I had an interview with someone else, so I came in late and the guy had basically gave everyone a sheet of music and then just pissed off. And I walked into the room and Sabi was at the piano and I was like, "What we're doing?" And she was like, "I don't know. The guys just left and gave us this sheet of music." And she was like, "Can you play it?" And I was like, "We're trying to work it out. We're trying to work it out to play it." And then the guy came back 10 minutes later and was like, "Can you perform what you've got?" I was like, well, "I
Yeah.
can, but it's shit."
That's exactly what happened. So I guess it was that day when all the interviews were going on because my interview was in the practice time. So the whole practice time that they had to practice, I wasn't in the room. So not only did I not know how to read sheet music, I didn't even have the opportunity for anyone to tell me what the notes were so that I could just know so I could figure it out. And it was the same. And he was like, right, sit down and play. So I played it thinking, thank God that's over. Like I've got through it. I've figured it out. Like I just played the same two notes over again because I don't know what I'm doing, but it's fine. And then he was like, no, 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 you redo that again. And you need to play this and that and the other. And can you find me a D? And I'm like, like panicking. And then he's watching me play and he like stops me halfway. He's like, no, 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 that D, that's not a D. You need to go. And I'm like, please stop this. This is just torture. Please just
It's like
everyone in the
your
room was just
worst
playing
nightmare.
all of it. It's horrible. It was awful.
Oh
But
man,
yeah.
like I can honestly, I can totally sympathize with you because I mean, I'm by no means like I'm not a great reader at all. I had to learn up to a certain level so I could help teach kids and like do what I needed to do for the job, you know. But I've had one of my really good friends. He works like over the sort of Scottish border, and there was some gigs coming up that was like theatre gigs, and it needed a second guitar. And he'd said to me, he basically he helped me loads with getting my job and like he was really supportive and stuff. And then he said, as a favor, mate, can you come and do second guitar for this theatre gig? And I went, I can, but is it a reading gig? And he went, it is, but it's no more difficult than the stuff that you're playing and the stuff that you're doing with the kids now. And I went, well, all right, I'll come and do it. And I felt like I was the only person in the entire pit, like the entire orchestra, the entire pit band, that everyone else was like flicking through the notation, playing it, like reading it as they're playing it. And I came away from like the 2 weeks, like 2 weeks of the show with my eyes on stalks, like migraines the whole night. And I was
Oh
saying
God.
like I'm so outclassed, man. Like I feel like an absolute tosser.
Oh
Like
no,
sat
awful. I'd
so
hate
I,
that.
yeah, and that's just one of those things though. But see for yourself, like why do you need that notation? Like you don't
I
need it really, do you?
no, no, I don't know. Like to be fair, like I could read music when I was a kid. So the first instrument I ever played was the violin at school.
Me
And
too.
I well, yeah. um, but you could like yeah, I could read music like it was nothing. That's how we played. And then I dropped it at 14 and then gave up and then I just never played it. So I never like and I thought it might stick in my brain. It never stuck in my brain. Like I know what it means. I know that the notes, do you know what I mean? I can figure out what it means and I can
Mhm.
eventually figure out the notes if I look at a sheet of music for long enough. But it's not instant at all because I don't use it. I can read tab. I can, if someone gives me a sheet of chords, I can play you a song. But no.
Mhm. But yeah, again, I think it's all context, though, innit? Like you don't.
Hmm.
For the longest time, like I'd never needed. If I wasn't teaching, I would never have needed to do like the notation side of stuff, and I
No.
would never have bothered. My guitar teacher that I had when I was younger, so the first proper guitar teacher I had, he would write the chords out for us, but he wouldn't
Mm.
tell us like what order it went, and he would just say, "There's the chords, figure it out," and then you'd have to go and listen to the song, put the chords in the right place,
Oh,
which is
that's cool.
yeah, which is a really cool idea, and it helped me loads because like now I think I've got a reasonable ear and I can work things out
Mm.
quite quickly. Um, but yeah, I'd never needed that until I started doing my grades on guitar. And then my second proper teacher, he was like an insanely good reader and an insanely good, just a ridiculous musician, full stop. And he made me feel so insecure because he would stick like jazz standards in front of you and say, right, play that melody line. And
Oh,
I would go like, I can't. Like I was like, is that a B flat? And he's like already halfway through the page, and he's like, come on, keep it going, keep it going. And you're like,
mm.
fuck.
That-
Um,
I've never had a teacher. I've never had someone like pressuring me to play or, you know, telling me the right way. I suppose like I've had like a couple of lessons with like my friend's dad, when I was a teenager, but like that's as far he taught me Stairway to Heaven and that was that.
that's all you
But
need, man. That's all you need.
exactly, that's it. But no, I taught myself how to play, but yeah, that like whole thing, I suppose like in ways though it makes you strive to be better because you've got the accountability of someone who kind of like I suppose it's forced. They kind of force you into it. But
Yeah, man. But it's true. Like I was terrified. I think I mentioned it at Laban, but my teacher that helped me get through my grades, I still sort of speak to him now, and I've
mm,
spoke to him now. I'm not getting lessons with him, and I've said it to him in the past. Like it was just terrifying. Like I would be shitting myself not to have practiced what I needed to practice for turning up, and I because he used to teach like two or three of us at the same time,
mm.
and it was amazing if I you went into the little hallway and someone else had said like have you practiced, and like I'd go yeah, I'd give you, and they went nah, and I'd just be like haha, it's you that's gonna get it in the next today.
That's
um
fun.
but just terrifying, and to me like I didn't learn well like that because I was so worried,
Mm,
you know.
mm.
And I say I didn't learn well, he helped me get all my grades and stuff, but um yeah, like to me it was just terrifying. It wasn't a pleasant experience learning that.
No, no, like it puts the fear of death into you, doesn't it? Like about your instrument, it makes you not want to play because you're like, that you have to. And if you
Yeah,
have to, then you don't want to. So yeah, I can
yeah.
imagine.
It needs to be fun, man, as well. Like, because if you're not having fun doing it, like, what's the point?
That's it. That's exactly it. That's like why I always go back to writing songs is just because I find it fun. I just find it fun and therapeutic. So I always go back to it. Or like familiar songs that you've known forever that you just always go back to playing. It's just, yeah.
Tastes like a comfort, and it is like that. When you say therapeutic, like I think it's so undervalued. Like with
Mm.
its sort of the benefits of mental health, like
Mm.
it's unbelievable, and I think more
Massively.
people should give it a go.
Yeah. I feel like that's like why I started writing, to be fair, was that kind of because I always wrote in like journals or like diaries or things like that, where I was writing out my thoughts. So I knew that I wanted to write songs, so I'd write kind of songs out first, and then I'd pick up a guitar because it would help me write songs. So
Mhm.
it's that kind of getting it out and processing it that really helps.
It does, man. And I think sort of I felt loads better after my song I'd put it out. Like I felt like a huge weight had been lifted, and like
Did
even though
you?
I'd not, yeah, I didn't feel like I could speak to anyone about like a lot of the stuff that was sort of
Yeah.
like going on, and then did the song, and afterwards, like honestly, I felt like walking on air. Like after I'd done it, I was like, I felt so good.
Oh,
I was
that's
like, shit,
good.
just needed to actually get it out, and like if it's too hard to
Yeah.
speak about, like write it out, you know. um
I'll have to get more of my songs out there then. Get them off my chest.
Absolutely, man. So look, I don't want to take up too much more of your time because I know you've spent your evening getting your child to bed and you want some time to yourself and stuff as well. Could I just finish by asking like what's next for you? Like what are you planning for the future? What's going on in the land of Kirstie?
Getting my music out there. Let's start there. Yeah, so that's a definite thing, is getting more of my songs out. I'm going to do them as singles. They're all going to be released individually and given life, hopefully. Um, that's like a major goal for me. But then other than that, it's just getting my head down and getting to gigs as often as I can now. So I'm doing a lot in South Wales. I've got like a few things around the Bournemouth area, which is good. So it's all kind of going the right direction at the minute, which is good.
Nice. Well, you'll have to keep me clued in when you're releasing songs because I've
I will.
started doing some reviews and things as well.
Oh, have you?
Um, because I'm a nerd like that. Uh,
No,
but
why not? Like, you might as well. You've got the platform for it.
yeah, man, it's like I really enjoy it, and like,
Hmm.
um, it's given me like a new sort of lease of musical life doing this sort of stuff, and um, yeah, it's nice. And like I think I've said it now on 3 episodes, but I do feel like whenever anytime I have a conversation with people, it's like I can steal a bit of their superpowers and work out like what's making them tick.
That's a lovely
So
way to think about it. That's true, though.
it
Like
is,
every
man.
person's a fountain of knowledge, aren't they?
Yeah. But I think just like having this conversation, the little bits that you take away and that really stick with you, and you're like, oh yeah, like I never thought about that. Or like this person writes like that, or like that's their approach to songwriting. So really, like this is all just a facade, so I can become a better musician and just steal everyone's ideas.
No, that's the point. That's we're all here to help you,
Yeah, man.
helping you bit by bit. We'll just give you little pieces, and then we'll build you up into a big
Like a
sticky.
giant transformer, like
Can I end this by saying I went on holiday somewhere and found in my little travel bag a little piece of paper, and I thought, what on earth is this little piece of paper here? So I opened it up and it said, Sakib knows what you did last summer.
oh, that's amazing. I wonder who put that in there. Was that Stu or
I
was that
think I
me? Was that Stu? Was that
God knows at this point. God knows, who knows.
the thing
No,
is,
I think I got it somewhere.
nobody knows. So like it's such a weird insider joke that nobody gets. And it doesn't translate at all. Like I've tried telling people back at work and they're like, are you alright, mate? Like, what the fuck are you on about? This Sakib.
It's definitely one of those you had to be there jokes.
yeah. But no, we did that. I loaded Stu's like guitar case with loads of stuff, and I
Did
remember waking up in the
you?
morning with loads of Sakib notes in my shoe and stuff.
Mm.
People just broke into my room with the master key.
I was the one who told you about that I had a master key, and you were like, "Oh, I wonder if mine works." Boom, straight into everyone's room.
Bingo. yeah. That was really bad because like I said to Stu afterwards, like, really, we've only known people for like a day or two, and then now we're really like breaking breaking like social boundaries here Or just entering people's rooms and leaving them really creepy notes.
Falls there asleep. Yes, it's a good
Yeah,
job that we got along, isn't it?
it is.
Could you
Yeah, there could have
imagine?
been some serious complaints there. Like, sorry, you didn't get your degree because of breaking and entering.
Yeah, you're actually now under inspection. Oh
Oh
no,
man.
investigation inspection.
Well, I think you might be under investigation for some of your dark thoughts about water and murder. So
Oh dear, they can
that'll
come
be
and investigate. They can come.
yeah,
It's fine. They'll
cool,
figure
man.
out the event that I'm just a lonely person who sits and writes songs about things that make me sound like a psychopath,
You
apparently.
should do it. That could be your new alter ego. As like just strange serial killer that
Oh my
drowns people in rivers.
God. I don't know how far that would get me in life, to be honest, Darren.
I know. What can we do? What can we do, man?
Not a good idea.
I know. Well, thank you very much for your time. I shall let you get on with the rest of your evening.
Very
And
well. It's been a
it's
pleasure.
an absolute pleasure. But look, if there's things that you need in future, if there's any like tech stuff that I can help with or things that you need, please give me a shout.
I will,
Um,
definitely.
it'd be nice to work together and do
Yeah.
some more stuff. Pure vibes, lab and vibes.
Oh, I love that. I miss it.
I know, me too, man. Well, hopefully, like our paths will cross again. And if you're ever
Definitely.
looking for gigs in the northeast of England, give me a shout. There's lots of lovely venues over here. Come
Oh,
and
I
vibe
will.
out in the northeast.
I'll have to get a little tour going.
Yeah, man. Absolutely do it.
We'll
But yeah, give
see.
me a shout and it'll be nice.
Definitely. That'd be really cool.
Nice, man.
And nice
Well, I'll cut there, but I shall say, um, so your video will be going out next Friday.
Mm-hmm.
The audio will go out next Friday, so everything will be live as of about 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So one will go out, the audio will go on Spotify, and the video will go up on the website. Um, so
Oh,
if you want to redigest the conversation, it's all there for you. Um,
amazing.
and I think I just heard this week that it's now on Apple Music and Google Podcasts and a few other Amazon and places as well. So
Ah,
that
brilliant. I'll
meant
put it on my socials and stuff.
sweet, man.
So I can get people listening.
Nice one. Well, thank you very much for your
Yay.
time. Enjoy the rest of whatever's left of your
You
evening.
too. It's nice to meet you.
You too, man. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.